Introduction. When you can't stop, and why that doesn't mean what you think it means. I'm standing in my kitchen at 3:30 a.m. and I can't stop eating. I know I should stop. I know this is bad. I know I'll hate myself even more in the morning. I know all the reasons this is wrong, destructive, pathetic. I know. And I can't stop. If you've been here, if you are here, I need you to know something before we go any further. This book isn't going to tell you what you already know. It's not going to list the dangers of emotional eating or the benefits of vegetables. It's not going to give you a meal plan or a new set of rules to follow and eventually break. This book is going to tell you something you don't know. You're not weak, you're not broken, you're not pathetic. You're doing exactly what your brain learned would keep you safe. I know you don't believe me. I know every cell in your body is screaming that you're a failure, that everyone else can do this simple thing, eat normally, and you can't. I know you think you're the weakest person alive. I thought that too, standing in my kitchen at 315 pounds, cramming food I didn't even taste into a body I couldn't stand, wondering how someone who succeeded at everything else could fail so spectacularly at this one simple thing. The morning everything started to change. November 2016. I'm sitting in my doctor's office, and she's delivering a slap to the face. Type 2 diabetes, full blown, plus high cholesterol. At 315 pounds, I'd given up on ever landing the plane. Sure, I'd lost weight before, multiple times actually. I'd probably lost and regained hundreds of pounds over my lifetime, always gaining back more than I'd lost. I'd never gotten down to that sweet number I thought was my nirvana, and I definitely never stayed anywhere close. But diabetes? High cholesterol? I was damned if I was going to go down coated in medication. Here's the thing. I knew I could affect these health metrics. A decade earlier, I'd healed my severe asthma by drastically changing my diet. When something was literally killing me, I could change my food. I could be disciplined. I could follow a protocol. I just couldn't lose weight and keep it off. That seemed to be a completely different skill set, one I apparently didn't possess. So I went home and did what I do. Research, plan, execute. I removed all grains, all high glycemic foods, all unhealthy oils, went completely vegan to tackle both the blood sugar and cholesterol. This wasn't about weight loss. I'd given up on that fantasy. This was about survival. 6 months later, I'd release 50 pounds, again. But of course I could lose weight. I'd done it before. The losing wasn't the problem. The keeping it off was. My blood work hadn't changed at all. 50 pounds gone. Perfect adherence to a scientifically sound protocol, and my numbers were exactly the same. My body was brilliant at maintaining its dysfunction even when I did everything right. That's when I found Bright Line Eating. And for the first time in my life, the structure gave me something I'd never had before. Hope that I might actually be able to not just lose the weight. I knew I could do that, but maybe, just maybe, actually land the plane. But here's what I need you to understand. Even with all my knowledge, even with my proven ability to lose weight temporarily, even with my demonstrated capacity to heal life-threatening conditions through food, even with my ironclad motivation to avoid medication, I found what I was looking for and became even more terrified. Yes, I found abstinence. Yes, the weight came off, 170 pounds in 2 years. Yes, I reversed the diabetes and normalized my cholesterol. But I was white-knuckling every moment. I was a crystal vaser, as we called it in BLE, perfect adherence, perfect abstinence, but I was nowhere near peace, nowhere near feeling free from food dysfunction. I'd traded compulsive eating for compulsive control. I'd exchanged one prison for another. Admittedly, a healthier prison, but a prison nonetheless. The question that changed everything, During those white-knuckle years, instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" for the 10,000th time, I accidentally asked a different question. What if nothing's wrong with me? What if my brain wasn't broken, but was doing exactly what it learned would help me survive? What if every failure was actually my nervous system successfully protecting me from something it perceived as more dangerous than food? What if my inability to stop wasn't weakness, but was my brain's strength in maintaining a coping mechanism it believed was keeping me safe? And what if my current death grip on abstinence was the same pattern, just dressed in healthier clothes? I know this sounds like I'm making excuses. I know it sounds like I'm letting you off the hook. But stay with me, because understanding this, really understanding it, changed everything. Why your brain chooses food, even when you don't want it to. Your brain's number one job isn't to make you thin. It's not to make you healthy. It's not even to make you happy. Your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. And at some point in your life, maybe when you were very young, maybe during a period of intense stress, maybe gradually over many years, your brain learned that food was the safest, most reliable way to calm an overwhelmed nervous system, provide comfort when none was available, create a moment of peace in chaos, numb emotions that felt too big to feel, fill an emptiness that felt too vast to face. Your brain didn't choose food because you're weak. It chose food because you're smart, and food works. It works immediately. It works reliably. It works when nothing else does. The problem isn't that you turn to food. The problem is that your brain hasn't learned that there are other things that work too, things that don't carry the side effects that food does. Why willpower will never be enough. Here's what nobody tells you about willpower. It's like a muscle, and muscles get tired. Every decision you make uses willpower. Every time you're patient when you want to scream. Every time you focus when you want to quit. Every time you smile when you want to cry. You're using willpower. By the time you get to the evening, or 3:30 a.m., your willpower muscle is exhausted. And that's when your brain defaults to its most practiced, most reliable pattern, food. This isn't a character flaw. This is biology. Asking someone to use willpower to overcome food patterns is like asking someone to hold their breath indefinitely. You can do it for a while, maybe even an impressively long while. But eventually, biology wins. This book is for you if you've tried everything and nothing has worked long-term. You know exactly what you should do, but can't seem to do it. You hate yourself for being weak around food. You're successful in other areas but can't figure this one out. You're tired of failing and ready to try something completely different. You eat when you're not hungry and can't figure out why. You're exhausted from the war with yourself. You've maintained success but live in terror of losing it. You've given up hope but are still somehow looking for answers. This book is not for people who want a quick fix or a new diet. Believe shame and self-hatred lead to change. Think complex problems have simple solutions. Aren't ready to be compassionate with themselves. Think the number on the scale is what matters most. What you can expect from this journey. This book gives you what you've been searching for. Tangible tools, revolutionary reframes, and an actual path to the peace you've been craving. Not empty promises or motivational fluff, but real, practical ways to finally do the thing you've been desperately wanting to do. What this book will give you: concrete tools that actually work, not theories, but specific practices you can use tonight when you're standing in the kitchen. Revolutionary new ways of seeing everything. Reframes so powerful, they'll shift your entire understanding of your struggles. A clear path to turn down the noise, the constant food chatter, the obsessive thoughts, the exhausting mental loops. You'll learn how to gradually dial down the volume. The bridge from white-knuckling to peace. How to maintain your boundaries without death-gripping them every second. Understanding of your brilliant brain. Why it chose food, what it's trying to protect you from, and how to work with it instead of against it. Freedom from the shame spiral. Not through positive thinking, but through genuine understanding of your nervous system. The exact steps to vibrant living. Not just surviving without certain foods, but thriving with mental clarity, emotional stability, and creative energy. Permission to take the time you need. With the understanding that real change happens in months and years, not days and weeks. Connection and recognition. You'll see yourself in these pages and finally understand you're not uniquely broken. What this book won't do. Promise you'll be thin by next month, though your body may change as you heal. Pretend this is easy or quick. It's not, and that's exactly why it actually works. Give you another set of rules to follow and eventually break. Turn you into someone else. You'll become more fully yourself. My story, the part nobody talks about. Between November 2016 and November 2018, 170 pounds came off my body. I reversed my type 2 diabetes, normalized my cholesterol, and got off all medications. But here's the important part that most weight loss stories leave out. That was just the beginning of the journey, not the end. I found abstinence. I removed the foods that were harming me and kept them out. The weight loss was a natural result of that choice, not the goal itself. But I need to be clear about something. I maintained that abstinence through rigid control and daily terror for years. I was free from the foods, but not free from the obsession. I'd traded one cage for another. The real transformation, the one that matters, took years more. Years of slowly learning to trust my body. Years of gradually losing my death grip while maintaining my boundaries. Years of turning down the volume on the fear. Years of building evidence that I could maintain my abstinence without white-knuckling every moment. Today, I don't weigh myself anymore because the number isn't the point. It never was. What matters is that I maintain abstinence from foods that cloud my thinking and steal my energy, because when I do, I can think clearly enough to write this book, have enough energy to serve my community, show up fully for the people I love, create and contribute instead of just survive, live vibrantly instead of merely exist. My mental, physical, psychological, and even spiritual life is more vibrant than I ever imagined possible. Not because I lost weight. Weight is just gravity's opinion about my body. But because I'm no longer consumed by food obsession or control. I maintain healthy eating not to maintain a number on a scale, but to maintain my life. The life I want to live, the work I want to do, the person I want to be in the world. And here's the beautiful truth nobody mentions. The work is never done. That's not a bug, it's a feature. Quick fixes don't last. Neurologically or psychologically, they can't. Your brain needs time to build new neural pathways. Your nervous system needs evidence, accumulated over years, that it's safe to change. This book won't fix you because you're not broken. It will help you shift. Shift your understanding, shift your approach, shift your relationship with yourself. And those shifts will keep happening for the rest of your life. That's not exhausting, it's liberating. It means you're never stuck. You're always becoming. It took 2 years. The journey from abstinence to peace took many more. And the journey of growth, of becoming more fully myself, of learning new ways to support my vibrant life, that journey continues every single day, and I wouldn't have it any other way. What makes this book different? Every other book about food starts with the assumption that something is wrong with you that needs to be fixed. This book starts with the assumption that nothing is wrong with you, that every pattern you've developed, no matter how destructive it seems, was your brain's attempt to keep you safe. Every other book asks you to fight against yourself. This book asks you to understand yourself. Every other book promises that if you just try hard enough, you'll succeed. This book shows you why trying so hard is actually part of the problem. Every other book celebrates the weight loss as the victory. This book knows that weight loss without peace is just a different kind of prison. A note about hope. I know you might have no hope left. I know you might be reading this thinking, this is my last try, and when this doesn't work either, I'm done. I understand. Hope is exhausting when it's been disappointed so many times. So I'm not asking you to hope. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm not even asking you to trust me. I'm just asking you to just consider, that maybe, just maybe, the story you've been telling yourself about your weakness, your failure, your brokenness, maybe that story is wrong. Maybe you're not weak but tired. Maybe you're not failing but surviving. Maybe you're not broken but brilliant in ways you don't yet understand. Maybe the goal isn't to lose weight, but to gain life. How to read this book. You can read this book straight through, like a journey from shame to understanding. Or you can skip to whatever chapter speaks to you right now. This is your book, your journey, your pace. Some chapters might make you cry. Chapter 4 made everyone in my early reading group cry. Some might make you angry. Some might make you feel seen for the first time in your life. All of these responses are perfect. They mean the book is doing what it's supposed to do, helping you feel what you need to feel in order to heal. One last thing before we begin. That person standing in the kitchen at 3:30 a.m., the one who can't stop even though they desperately want to, the one who feels weak, pathetic, broken beyond repair, that person is not the worst version of you. That person is the part of you that's trying hardest to keep you safe, using the only tool they trust, even when the cost is devastating. That person deserves compassion, not criticism. That person deserves understanding, not shame. That person deserves support, not punishment. And that person, that beautiful, struggling, surviving person, deserves to discover that they were never broken in the first place. They were always doing their best with the tools they had. Now let's give them some better tools. Not just for losing weight. That might happen, but it's not the point. Let's give them tools for gaining life, for finding peace, for discovering that freedom is possible, even if it takes years longer than you hoped. The journey from abstinence to peace is longer than anyone tells you, but it's real, it's possible, and you're capable of walking it. Ready to begin? Sonia Johansson, August 2025. P.S. If you're reading this at 3:30 a.m. after another night of failing, know this, you're not alone. Thousands of us have been exactly where you are, and there is a way forward that doesn't require you to become someone else. It just requires you to understand who you really are. And that journey, from compulsion to abstinence to actual peace, takes as long as it takes. There's no deadline on freedom.